You're tuned in to RX Radio.
There's going to be an ultimate irony to this podcast, and you get, as is tradition.
Yeah,
I got a little 4 p.m. coffee going.
Oh, dude, I'd be up all night. It's insane.
What's the difference at this point?
Man.
What's your caffeine intake? You really and this will lend itself to today's topic, today's episode. But what's your caffeine intake now?
Shit, I haven't been using substances that have listed milligrams lately, but where I'm at, I have just a drip coffee maker, and if you fill it all the way up, it makes 12 cups of coffee. I'll drink about 8 of them to start the day, and then probably get a cold brew. So
you're still rocking a G note. You're still a gram in, you think?
Yeah, but it's like right out of the gate. It's like I'm done by 10 o'clock.
So it's a bank job. Your caffeine intake is a bank job. We're in and out. Start the car.
That's right.
Okay. There was a time there where you weren't doing that, right? You kind of peeled it back.
More of a drip, like an IV drip. Constant stream.
You grazed on coffee throughout the day.
Exactly. Yeah. That was bad. Yeah. I think the thing is my sleep schedule, probably worse now, but I'm consistently sleeping like enough hours, which has not always been the case. Like I used to go to bed a certain time, wake up certain time, but it was probably like 10 p.m. to 5:30 was like for the past decade. That's like when I'd actually be in bed, hopefully asleep. And then now I'm going to sleep way earlier. Like I was asleep before 9 p.m. last night.
Oh yeah, all day, every which way. Are you joking me? Yeah, that's the real move, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm curious, like, because we were just saying before we started, I feel as if now I'm like getting stronger, and a lot to do with sleep. Like the schedule is a little bit less crazy, or if it's crazy in a more predictable way, or at least I'm used to it after, I don't know, 7-8 years of crazy. But like one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm sure you notice as well, is there seems to be like the marketing boogeyman of the 40th birthday. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. And look, and there's an obvious, because there's two ways to look at this. You're going to listen to a podcast between two guys who, independent to knowing each other, both had the same thought before they met. And that thought was, there's no fucking way I'm making it to 40, right? Like you grew up in like a weird Pennsylvania parallel universe to me. And then we met each other and we're like, how did we somehow have the same person living a parallel life in another country? And I'm sure, and I know this to be true because I've talked to you about it, like there has been I had conversations with people. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to make it to 40 years old. Right. There, like if you ask me at, I don't know, either at 17 or if you ask me again at like 27, both like a decade between, it was like, no, there's no way. And so there is the irony or the hypocrisy that, we're going to take this head on because I don't get it. And maybe we'll listen to this podcast back in what, 2030, right? 2030, we're 40.
Yeah. June, yeah, 2030.
And we'll look back and be like, man, were we ever wrong? But I don't think we're going to be.
Yeah. The funny thing about this conversation is like, I've already made it over the hump. Like for me growing up, it was 30. Like I didn't think I was going to make it to 30. And I think the only thing that allowed me to make it to 30 was getting out of Pennsylvania.
But
fair. It's funny because I remember, dude, when I turned 30, it was during COVID. And like I had some friends throw me like a surprise party. And like I hadn't seen many people in a while because everyone was freaking the fuck out, thinking that everyone was going to kill everyone and turn to zombies. So I got fucking wasted. I got so drunk. Yeah. And then I woke up the next day, 30 years old and 1 day. And I'm like, well, I need to be a responsible adult and get my fucking shit together now. And like still working on it, but like there was this big shift in my mentality of like, all right, well, I never thought I'd get here and I'm here, so I better figure shit out because I didn't plan on this.
Is this legit? Like you
Yeah, it's
legit had this
100% legit.
conscious thought? No.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
dude, as I woke up and like there's a word for this now. The kids call it hangxiety, when you have a hangover and you get anxiety.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We didn't need that word. Hangxiety was just a hangover.
It's just
It's
a
all
hangover.
encompassing.
Yeah.
We didn't need that word.
Yeah. No, we didn't need it. We still don't need it. No one needs it.
Yourself. Okay, fine. Yeah. All right. So retroactively, the kids today would call what you had hangxiety.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you were like, all right, time to take the bull by the horns.
Yeah, pretty much. That, in like a weird way. I'm like, all right, well, I made zero plans for my future until I was 30. And then like at 30, I'm like, all right, like literally from this day forward, I'm like, all right, I better start planning for the future because I'm still fucking here.
So it was like what, June 18th or whatever? Or your birthday is the 17th?
June 20th. Yeah.
20th is the 19th. Yeah. I always mix you up with my buddy Jerry. But okay, so June 20th, you wake up and then you have like, would it safe to say like an epiphany? Like you wake up and you're like, all right, well, that was fun. We got away with the first 30 years.
It wasn't that profound, but it was just like, I'm not, I can't say the word I'm thinking of, but
everyone just said it in their brain. Yeah, that's on you.
You said it. Oh my God, despicable people. But it was like very much this thing, like in my mind, like growing up, I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm going to make it to 30. Like there's so many things are going to try and kill me or something's going to happen between now and then, like just from the way I was living my life. And then I got to that 30 in one day and I'm like, all right, well, I made it here with no regard for myself. So I better start planning for what the rest of my life is going to look like.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was an interesting moment. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I had that kind of like 25, 26. Once like and this is where like I'm going to differ from the Gen Z kids, whoever the fuck says hangxiety. Listen, talk to me when you have actual panic attacks and then you go to hospitals. Not when like you wake up after drinking too much fucking peanut butter IPA or whatever the fuck these idiots drink. Like a bunch of, you know the word, like a bunch of those people. And it's just like, but so, and here's the thing. It's like, I fundamentally think this could be a really short podcast because when you reach any age, you sort of realize the arbitrariness of time, right?
Yeah.
Like time, there's an interesting physicist named Marco Ravelli, and he writes a lot about time. And he says, really the only thing that we know from time, or the only thing that we can attribute to time is heat. In the passing of time, heat is produced. That's it. It's like, it's obviously time you could sit back and if you get high enough if you get high enough, you can really start to like think about this, like the arbitrariness of time. And so Marco Ravelli writes about like whole book about time. And so as arbitrary as time is, the designation that, I don't know, hey Siri, what's 365 times 40?
365 times 40 is 14,600.
That at 14,600 days of your life, that something happens, right? That there's some sort of shift. And it's such an odd marketing angle that it's obviously predatory, right? Because to me, if we look at the evolving landscape of training, I think it's even more obvious that that's what this trend is. Because look, I've had blood work done across the last decade. And I've had x-rays done numerous times, MRIs done numerous times. And there's been somewhat of an emergence of this concept. And it's a loose concept. It may be a little bit more refined now than it was before, but like chronological versus biological age. Plenty of different calculators. That Brian Johnson guy that's trying to live forever, he has a biological age of 18, but a chronological age, I think well into his 50s, 52 or 53 or something like that. But it's like, okay, regardless of your age or how many days, whether you reach the 14,600 day mark or not, you're still, when you are approaching a client, or if you're over the age of 40 and you're training yourself, it's like You just have to look at what are your goals and where are you at now? Like, I don't understand where the 40-year-old boogie monster comes out of the closet and changes this. Now, look, you could wake up June 18th, 2030 and be 40 and be like, Shallow, we got to go back to episode 580 and we have to delete it because I had another epiphany. Everything hurts. But I really think like it's something that people over the age of 40 need to be cognizant of. And I think people more so at any age need to be cognizant of. And it's just like really adopting like what is now the new fundamentals of training. Because I think what is happening to the people at 40 is that they probably learned how to work out in high school, maybe had time through college, had kids, had a job or have a job, worked through their career. They're now probably a little bit more financially stable. And they're starting to focus on things that matter, right? Their kids are probably soon to be out of the house, grade school, high school. If you follow like a traditional, now here's a kid word for you. If you follow a traditional arc, that's a word that kids use on the internet. Hey, and it's like, okay, if you follow sort of that heuristic, you now literally, okay, got some time in your hands. I don't need a babysitter for the kids. I want, like, where did this 40 pounds come from? All right, I'm gonna get back into shape. So I think where the market is opening up is 20 years has elapsed since people have learned how to train, right? And the learning we use very loosely. So, but in that 20 years, like to us, we've been right there in lockstep with the evolutions of training over the course of the last 20 years, pretty much to the letter. So, it's nothing for us to look at a client who comes to us and go like, all right, like if we want to work together, let's get some blood work, or let's get some, like a DEXA scan or something that's fairly comprehensive and fairly conclusive. And we'll start from there, right? We'll see what we're working against. And that's, I take for granted sometimes how that as a norm has evolved to be so, right? Like 20 years ago, blood work, I got blood work done because I was like really sick in the 9th grade. And that was it. I had my iron was 1, and my white blood cell count was in like the 6 figures or something stupid, but that was it. And that, like, I didn't have blood work again until my mid-20s. So, but now it's like, it's so common. There's services. Shout out Marek Health. Use code RXD at marekhealth.com. But it's like, if you were siloed, like you learned to train from your gym teacher, and then you go live your life for 20 years, and then you go back to the gym like it was 2006 or 7, it's like, yeah, man, a lot has changed. So I think that's something that people need to be mindful of when they're going down this road, because training over 40 is the same, in my brain, is the same template, the same process as training a 20-year-old, as training a 50-year-old, as training someone who's 39 or 38. But it does seem to be like a hard line in the marketing that I'm seeing. And I think specifically towards men, but I could be wrong. Have you seen more of a slant towards men, or?
I have, yeah. And I have, let's see, I think I have 3 complete thoughts on this whole process. Yeah. First is like, you completely missed me with that heat reference. Like the only thing that changes time is heat. Is that like, if a pot on the stove is hot, like time passes and it gets cold? Like,
so the only thing that is actually indicative of time passing is the generation of heat. Take it up with Mr. Ravelli. You'd have to be so high and listen to that book. It's crazy.
All right. I'll get high and listen to this book sometime.
We'll add it to the list of things to do while we're high. It's a long list now.
Yeah. So, I mean, my opinion on that is like our perception of time changes based on our experiences, right? And the reason that it feels like time flies by as we get older is because we have fewer new experiences, right? So for someone that's experiencing new things on a more frequent basis, time is going to slow down in their perception because there's something new that they need to wrap their head around and kind of experience. But for someone they wake up at 6 a.m., they have the same breakfast, they take a shower, brush their teeth, they get in the car, they go to work from 9 to 5, come home, have the same dinner, and like repeat. Like time's going to move really fast for that person because they're living the same day. There's very few encounters that are new to them throughout the day in their perception versus someone that is, they're going somewhere new, or they change careers, or they have a lot of variance in their day to day where they're solving new problems that they haven't solved before. Like that, their perception is going to slow down of time with that. So this kind of feeds into my second thought on this. I think the thing that is changing at 40 years old in this current landscape, kind of like you said, like the view on health and fitness is different now than it was 20 years ago. People are getting blood work. They're paying attention to different things. They're looking at their micronutrients and looking at like, getting off their cell phone an hour before bed, and like all these little things that make a difference in your day to day. Maybe it's small, but like maybe the summation of all these things does make a significant difference. I think something that is very significant that is happening right now to men that are around the age 40 is the prevalence of hormone replacement. Men getting on TRT in their, let's say, mid to late 30s or early 40s. It's a pretty big wave right now. And I think it's a lot more prevalent, and people are talking about it a lot more than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's why, like, every time I see some middle-aged dude do some sort of transformation or like start getting real motivational out of nowhere, I'm like, we found the tea.
He found the tea. Where you been, dog? That's what I've been saying. Where you been? Oh, Jesus, welcome to the party, man.
Yeah. I think that is one of the like significant shifts in the health and fitness landscape now. It's becoming more accepted, more talked about, more prevalent. That is contributing to that specific number in marketing. I think guys around that age, they kind of get revitalized in a sense, and they get back into health and fitness and working out, and that boost that they get from the hormone replacement is something that like gets them back in the gym, and they get more motivated about putting on muscle and getting stronger. And then, three things was a lot for my
two. You were cruising.
You
were cruising off. You had relativity going, perception, experience, and 40 and TRT.
I was killing.
Well, I just think, look, like I think you're onto something with the TRT, and I think one of the things, and like obviously, if you've listened to this podcast, even if this is your first, well, welcome to RX Radio. Make sure you head on over to YouTube channel and subscribe. But like, it should be quite obvious that we're idiots, at least for most things. Your knee hurts, your shoulder hurts. You're probably in the right place. I can't think of two better people qualified to fix your musculoskeletal problems. But like by and large, we're just talking shit.
Yes.
One of the look, you want to take drugs, take drugs. I'm a firm, and all drugs. Like I am a firm believer that drugs are fun. That but like, please spare me the story. This is what I cannot stand, because you make a funny reference about the guy on TRT who then all of a sudden is like your next David Goggins with the spray tan and the Corvette or whatever the fuck he gets up to. And you're just like, I mean, I got introduced to performance enhancing drugs at a fairly young age. And I think one of the things that I'm very lucky, and you knew me at the peak of it when I was competing, is
what a time.
Oh, dude, what a crazy time. the voice messages that you used to have, if you still have them on your phone, but like, here's the thing, all that aside, I was emphatically prefaced off of the personality defects that this can cause, right? Like that was more than the health. Like the guys that I got drugs from, I didn't know what AST or ALT or hematocrit or platelets was until like well into my late 20s. Yeah. But one of the things that was drilled in me from the jump is don't be an asshole, right? Like don't be an asshole. Like I have a continuity of how big I was. This big of an asshole in kindergarten, right? Like I have teachers with very scathing reports on my report card but you got to keep it in check. And what kills me, and this is both to the coach and the coach and the client. So if you're over 40 or if you're a coach and this is part of your gig, it's like, sure, we can get blood work and we can find that testosterone is low. But the first, your hematology and your cellular physiology is not like a gas tank. It's like, oh, the diesel's low. Go fill up the diesel, right? It's like, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And anything more complicated, we defer to the likes of Dr. Dwayne Jackson or James McIntosh or the like. If you just want to run test, just run test. The number of dumbass conversations that I get cornered with in commercial gyms by guys who train with their fucking Breitlings on and that like still smell like the tanning oil before they trained. And I'm just like, yeah, so well, because it's literally like watching an 18-year-old like discover pre-workout for the first time. You're like, dude, don't try and just like lie to me and tell me that it was like, oh, I just got on like a little bit of test. Like, I don't care if you're on a lot of bit of test. I don't care if you're, it's for the health reasons. Like, sure, man, whatever the fuck ever. You're a full grown ass adult. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you came out to the gym and you're like, yeah, so like, I got like a medical marijuana card because I got like glaucoma. I'm like, you just smoked dope, dude. You don't got to lie to me about your fucking eyes, right? Like, just do whatever the fuck you want. Just be open to the idea that blood work with low testosterone does not then equal supplementary endogenous testosterone, right? Like and this is something that, and I've worked with a handful of clients in this area, and most of which professional athletes that can't use. I mean, you can get what's called a TUE, a therapeutic use exemption through WADA. But a lot of them don't want to go down that route. They're lifetime natural athletes and, they're still getting tested in whatever league. And it's like, all right, well, testosterone is low. Let's look at the habits and processes that facilitate testosterone production. And let's go. And once like fucking 2.5 months later, your T's through the roof again. So it does seem like just the guy in the gym locker room. Like that's what led to me when I see that marketing trope of like, are you a man over 40? I hear, hey, come here, kid. Like that's what I hear. I hear like the ice cream truck bells going like, hey, what are you doing over there? I got some toys in the back. It's like, it's so predatory. And it's like, look, if you're on the receiving end of that, it gets 2020 if you don't have to justify it to yourself. Right. Like I think there's a lot of, this is something that I realized at a young age is that like, you don't need to ask permission in this world. Like shy of murdering people, you can just do stuff. And like, no one really cares. Like I traded in my car and I got like a new car the other day and they're like, yeah, so you had about $500 worth of parking tickets. And I'm like, okay. It's like, so we went ahead and we paid those for you. You just got to pay us back. I'm like, great. I'm so glad I never went through the process of paying them because you guys did. And then you saved me like 2 hours of the entire, I'm like, great. And it's like, I'm not going to go to jail for parking tickets. I'm not going to waste my time. Dude. Right. I just, like you trade in your car every 2 years and someone else takes care of it. And you just pay no interest on the parking tickets. They're just here you go. But it's like, you don't have to ask permission. And I think there's like, there's a level of consumer now that I call like the prosumer, right? And I think true autonomy, like people who are informed, like consumers now in the health and fitness space that, they listen to podcasts, they're maybe mindful about what they eat. They have this anxiety moment where they wake up and, whether it's their kids are getting older or whatever, they have a calling or motivation to start to take their health and wellness seriously. It's like, okay, great. You don't need a babysitter, right? You don't need some dickhead with a rocket ship in his Instagram profile bio, right? And a made up number of people that he's coached to tell you to take testosterone. Like if you want to take it, there are ways of going about taking it. It wouldn't be, honestly, if health was my first concern, which it's not personally, it wouldn't be the first thing that I would do. But you don't have to also lie to yourself and those around you. Really what I'm getting at is if you listen to this podcast and you see me in public, just don't have this conversation with me because it's so aggravating, bro. It's so aggravating to hear people like manufacture the justification for jumping on gear. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. because you can do it. If some guy came up to me at the gym and was like, hey, I'm on 150 micrograms of LSD, I'd be like, sick. That's, someone goes, hey, I'm on 300 megs of test a week, I would also be like, sick. And just take, and it's the same thing. Like, do you want to take drugs? Take drugs. You're an adult. You do whatever the fuck you want. And it just blows my mind, man. Because like, I think they're both sides are at fault, right? Like the 40, are you a man over? Blah, 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 blah. And then the person will be like, well, I'm getting older, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're both full of it, dude. You're both full of it.
Yeah. That's a hot take. Yeah. Definitely do drugs. You heard it here first. RX Radio.
You're welcome. It's the permission you need.
There you go. I can't wait to see what comes of this episode.
Tag us in the reels. Tag us in the mug shots. All right, guys, quick break from today's episode. We're going to talk about PSL1. PSL1 is a 16-week coaching certification course dedicated to applied biomechanics and functional anatomy. Do you want to learn how to solve more complex problems faster? Do you want to be able to provide more value in a shorter amount of time in your practice? And PSL1's for you. It's a worldwide network of coaches. With the PSL1, you get, like I said, 16 weeks worth of lectures, 4 lectures a week, 7 interactive labs, plus a textbook, and access to the Prescript Collective, which has our Discord channel that connects you to thousands of coaches around the world. You can troubleshoot problems in real time. Now, Prescript Level 1 is currently not for sale, but our waitlist is open. Head on over to pre-script.com. On the homepage, you can register for the waitlist. Waitlist gives you the only discount. So not only are you going to be the first to know when registration opens here shortly, you're also going to get a discount for doing so. So head on over www.pre-script.com and register for the waitlist today. Back to the episode.
Yeah, I don't know how to steer this back from there, but I remember my third point.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Yeah. I think as we talk about the age 40 specifically, I think we're getting to the point where people who made a career out of health and fitness are getting to that age or are above that age now. And now it's like, how many coaches have you seen discover powerlifting and then all their clients have squat, bench, dead in their program? Or they take a plyometric seminar and now all their clients have plyometrics in their warm up. And I think it's the same sort of thing. It's like that kind of lack of filtering criteria where they've built an audience, they've built a career out of health and fitness. And now it's their next epiphany is that, oh, this is what happens when you're 40. I'm an expert on this because I'm 43. And we're getting to that point where like social media and like people's presence is like overarching with that age group. And it's like the first generation to really get to their 40s in health and fitness on social media. And that's why like this is now a thing. And I think that's like part of where this is born is that like you can't, and it's happened to me, it's happened to you. I've seen it with like all of our friends is like your evolution through how you train is you're going to go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And like, there's always going to be some sort of vein that kind of the principles will carry you through all of those things. But a lot of people get into training from some sort of sport. And I remember like what my training looked like back then, like when I was wrestling or just getting out of wrestling and getting into CrossFit and getting into weightlifting. And now just being in more general strength training, which I think is like kind of where most people end up by the time they're in their 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth before we get into the longevity phase, which is another buzzword in the fitness industry. But I think what that means is that like people are understanding the way that they train as they age and these kind of phases that they go through. And they're starting to preach that message because it's very relevant to them. And they have a platform of people that have been following them or listening to them or coming to them for content for a period of time where kind of their main group of consumers or their audience is probably starting to hit that point in their training relevancy. And that's why these things start to get pushed on them where it's like, all right, the majority of our listeners or our followers, if you go into your insights, they're between 35 and 52. So let's find this program that's going to kind of hit that hump on the bell curve. And I think some of it is it is calculated. It is a bit like of a marketing spin, but I think at the same time, it's that same idea of like, all right, this is what's relevant to the people that are preaching this at this point. Because I've written plenty of programs for people that are 40, 50, 60s. I've never marketed a program for 40 plus men that want to feel healthy or longevity and other buzzwords.
I mean, I thought my hot take was hot. That's a blistering hot take. That
Ooh.
the men over 40 that's the equivalent of like the box jump.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, someone tried it once and
Yeah.
it's a new thing. Yeah. Man, I just looked, I can't help but think of this from a business perspective because it is also obviously a marketing tool. I just think it's like, if you're someone whose business is reliant on a frame shift, a rebrand, then your product isn't good enough. Right. Like when I assess that, and obviously look, I'm sure there's great coaches out there that do a great job and they bang this drum. But I would say by and large, if you're reliant on these type of acquisition tropes, you're reliant on like a specific vein. Because I think, and we talked about this on a podcast recently, it's like the better the coach you become, the more of a generalist you become.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And I think coaching is good to start in specifics. Like, I think it's good to be able to build trust in a small part of the community and then be able to go more broad. And I think one of the things that you do when you market yourself this way, or you aim for a particular audience, is you actually go from general to specific, which I actually don't think is the arc of a successful coach. I think a successful coach, as you get more experience under your belt, you become more able to take on more populations, more complex problems, right? More interesting cases, more people who have tried everyone and done everything. I think you do get, if you're working on your product, your repertoire of your knowledge base, your actually, the hard and soft skills of coaching, I think you actually become more capable to work with more people of all populations, of all decades of life. So I really think it's a self-limiting practice, number one, right?
Mhm.
Like, I've deliberately taken on clients and patients outside of my kind of preordained wheelhouse. Like, you get into the sports and we start coaching coaches, and you just end up with clients that kind of look the same. And
Mhm.
then any opportunity I get to like work with someone of an older population, or, a complicated rehab case, I'll take it, because I want to, at the end of the day, when we stop doing whatever this is that we do for a living, I want to be able to, like, I had a lot of experience, right? And experience, to your point earlier, it's like, it's not just time going by, right? One of my favorite quotes is from that James Bond movie where he sits down next to the quartermaster, and it's like this kid with thick frame glasses, and they're staring at I forget what the painting was, something in like the Albert and was it the Albert and Victoria Museum in London, and he hands him his little package with his gun and his watch with his little beeper. Bond looks at him and he's all kind of washed up, and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, you still have spots, indicating that the kid is really young. And the kid goes, age is no sign of experience. And then Bond looks at him and goes, yeah, but youth is no sign of innovation. And they both kind of like have a laugh and walk away. And I think that, right? Like, I know a lot of people who do this very thing, right? Who have a roster of clients and a nothing but a wallpaper of transformation photos of 40-year-old. It's like if Epstein Island was with a bunch of 40-year-olds in their underwear. It's just like a bunch of that. And this is their whole fucking marketing. And it's like, you have no experience.
Yeah.
You've coached people for X number of years, 40 years or whatever it is, but you actually have no experience. You have one experience. You have the experience of the man over 40. And it's like, I don't know, man. I've had clients. My oldest client was well into their late 70s, maybe would have tipped over 80 at some point. And I've trained kids as young and get trained. Obviously, at that age, it looks a little bit different, but I've worked with kids under the age of 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's experience. right? Like you are getting a feel for different types of populations with different types of problems that you have to learn how to solve. And some of the problems are more dependent with their chronological age, and some are completely independent to their chronological age. So I think from a longevity perspective of the coach going down this road, know that there's not a lot of longevity in it, because one, it shows me that you are kind of going the tide. Like, oh, I the coach turned 40. Now I can talk to 40-year-olds. I couldn't talk to them before. It's like, motherfucker, yes, I could. Yes, I absolutely could. I was 18 years old training 40-year-olds. And like, hey, you come listen to me. Now, you probably shouldn't have listened to me as 18, because I know a lot more now at 35 than I did at 18. But tell you what, the 18-year-old version of myself knew fucking circles around the 40-year-old clients that I trained, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't have to be fucking 40 to train them, right? So it's just like some pretty basic principles. So like I kind of want to put the ball in the court of people who go down that and similar practices, right? Like anytime you're following the bullshit of advice of whoever social media business coach told you to like be very specific with your audience, it's like, do you want to do this? Like, do you want to do this in 5 years or 10 years? And if you do you want to be good at it? And do you want to enjoy it? Because I think like, like learning and training, variation is kind of the underpinning to learning, right? And if you just fucking have the same, right? Like your intake sheet is, have you felt tired? It's like, oh, here comes the testosterone. Like, here, I know this move. Or, like, do you wake up in the middle of the night? Or it's just the same thing. It's like you get stale, you get dull, right? You don't you don't stay sharp, right? So I just think like, regardless of, what specific group, if you're trying to get specific in this, you're holding yourself back. I truly think that being able to train, anything up to like Seabiscuit, you should be able to train. Like, I could probably figure out how to train horses for the Derby too. Like I could probably sort that out at this stage of my career because I have experience.
Right.
But if you're only experience, oh, sorry, you have a 12-year-old, can't help you. I only know men that watch too much Law and Order. Like, what is your niche here, dude? Like, why did you do that to yourself?
Yeah. No, I think that's the hottest take of them all, is that experience trumps all. And like, it's interesting to me because I've been doing this long enough, you as well, that like I've had clients over the last decade of like every walk of life, like professional athletes, like people that are older with injuries, people that are younger that want to get into sports or like don't know how to move, people with like crazy surgeries, brain injuries, like all sorts of shit. That it's like, all right, when I look at someone that I'm training, like if I have three clients I'm working with right now, one's a professional athlete and two are just like older people, very well. The way that I'm looking at designing their training is no different. It's literally no different. It's just the stimulus that each of those is going to get is dependent on where they're at right now and what their capacity is in each of these kind of subsets of qualities that I'm trying to train. And I look at the program, I look at the day of training pretty much exactly the same. It's almost like copy and paste the format, and then we're just going to go into each text bubble and kind of or each cell and change the stimulus of the exact same intention, right? If I need shoulder function, that might look different for a professional athlete versus someone in their 60s, but it's still, the intention is the same. And if you can pull it back to like, we're all fucking humans. We're walking around on 2 feet. We have 2 arms that, we should be able to get over our head. Now we need to look at someone's ability to do those things. And that's where we fill in the gaps on this. And I don't want to say it's gotten easy or it's gotten like boring for me, because I don't think it has. There's always a challenge to it because there's the user end, there's the interaction between the person that's actually going to get this program or kind of be receiving this stimulus, and that's what keeps it new and kind of fresh, and you have to kind of play the man in that scenario. But the process of writing a program, I can do it in between A1 and A2, right? And it's every single day I do it. Like I have a plan going in and the plan changes based on the feedback from the user end. And I'm like, all right, let's pivot today. This was the intention. I have 100 different things where I can fulfill that intention. So let's make sure we pick the one that is most correct at this time for this person. And it becomes really simple when you could zoom out and look at it that way. And I don't think there's ever really any necessity to, I mean, yes, it can help you kind of categorize if we have specific qualities of the subset of the population, but it's rare that age is the determining factor of the exercise that I'm going to give someone. Like I have 20-year-olds that I've worked with that are in much worse shape than 50, 60, 70-year-olds that I've worked with. And it's like, all right, this is going to be much more regressed for this 20-year-old than it is this 50-year-old because of the way that they're presenting to me right now. And the way that I'm starting to look at this as we go through this conversation, like the idea of specializing and niching down into this specific subset of people that is overly specific, that doesn't necessarily need to be narrowed down in this way. It's like, it's kind of playing the algorithm in the way that you're programming. And it's like, this is going to be a flash in the pan, and you're going to have to produce something else that'll pick up the algorithm in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. And it's like, the way that this is dumb, but this is the analogy that comes to mind for me is like fashion brands. Like there's fashion brands that are like kind of classic and they've been around and they'll always be around because they have like, I don't know, fashion's always changing. And I'm wearing a fucking Buc-ee's t-shirt right now. Like I'm not the one to talk to about fashion, but there's brands that will always be relevant because they're the ones that are like doing things to a very high quality and very, very tight specification. And yeah, maybe they're changing with the times, but like a classic look, like a classic tuxedo or a suit is always going to be a classic tuxedo or a suit. Like there's certain things that, you know, if you do well, it's always going to be done well. And then there's like some of these fashion brands that like come into trend that we've seen like come and go over our lifetime. Do you remember in the 90s, Janko jeans?
Nah, it sounds like some rich people shit. Was it like FUBU?
No. Yeah, it was
Or
like
Echo?
FUBU. Yeah,
Okay.
you would wear
All right,
that
then,
with your
yes.
FUBU and your Echo. Yeah, they had these
Tough.
like really long back pockets and they were like super baggy. And it was like,
you
I
have a
remember
pair?
like, what's that?
Did you have what were the mod pants? Something? Do you remember those? They were like nurses scrubs. Mod
I
robes.
don't,
Mod robes. That was the thing. Do you guys have those?
I don't remember those. No.
What were yours called?
Janko, JNCO.
That just sounds like a trailer
it's-
park.
Oh yeah, dude. It's peak trailer park. Yeah. And just like all this dumb shit that like, it's like, okay, maybe they had these jeans that like maybe were kind of like niche specific cool for like skaters or something in the 90s, but they're not still around. Like no one's buying Janko jeans now. And that's like what these programs are, like FUBU jerseys with like was it number 5 on the FUBUs?
Oh, I have no idea.
They always had the same number on them. I don't know. But it's like these things were around for a minute and then they go away. And that's what this program is. It's like, this isn't going to age well. This isn't going to be something that someone in their 40s is going to do into their 60s, or someone in their 20s now is going to do 20 years from now. Like it's not this specific thing that this is a benchmark that you should be doing at this time. Like it's not going to age well. And people that are, you know, that classic tuxedo metaphorically in their training and their methodology, like they're always going to be around because they know how to play the man. They know how to adjust the exercise for the person in front of them. And that's the big thing that's missing here. Like even if you zoom out even more, like any pre-made program that you buy in a PDF, like it's going to be generic enough that it's going to be kind of this okay for a lot of people, but not great for any one person type of program. And that's really what you're getting when you get this. It's like, all right, I'm going to do something because something's better than nothing. And like, yeah, it probably worked because something is better than nothing, but they're not the same results you're going to get if you can work with someone that really has an understanding of what you need and how it's going to change over time as not only your capacity and your ability and your skill level changes, but as you go through the ebbs and flows of, all right, I'm not sleeping much now. Like maybe your testosterone is down. Like that's a conversation with someone that knows how to keep someone healthy or like induce a healthy lifestyle or like, and not even like a checklist of things that you need to do, but like communication around those things as well. Cause the same message isn't going to be received the same by different people, right? So that's a big part of this too, is like, all right, the type of person that gravitates towards this type of program, they're probably looking for something that is a little more one-off, kind of quick fix, and they're probably going to do it for a bit and they're going to be stoked on it and they're going to fade out in a couple weeks. And it's not really a lifestyle change. It's like, oh, what's the next shiny ball that I can play with? And that's, I don't know, that's where my brain goes when we kind of look at these sort of preset, like hyper specific programs.
Well, yeah, I think there's a bright line to draw between coaching and programming, right? And I think one of the things that coaches who market this type of tactic or market with this type of tactic, one of the things they're doing is they're allowing themselves to use a program, a templatized program, and be a little bit more niche in its effect and charge for bespoke coaching. Well, it's like, we don't need to coach much. Now, I think you do need to coach, because 40, like, think of any other attribution. It's as arbitrary as I only coach people with long hair, right? Like,
Crazy.
it's weird. Like,
A lot of hair ties.
ageism is not a thing, but like, imagine you. And I know people who do this mostly in Miami. And imagine, let's just make this not too derogatory. You were like, I only train, like, imagine Jiunta's profile. Imagine logging onto Jiunta's profile tomorrow. And he was like, yeah, look, only thick Latinos here. Like, that's the only thing we're doing now. It's like, I mean, maybe some of you know Jiunta from when he was younger, and maybe that's not a far stretch. But like, you're probably one of the more professional people I've ever met. It's like, well, that's inappropriate. Like, that's wild that Jay is just like, yeah, look, it's just thick Latinas and that's it. It's just like the most, it's like, okay, like, that's nuts. When I see people put up the men over 40, I literally laugh the same laugh. Like, it's just because it's not exclusion criteria. What does 40 mean? Right? Like, it doesn't mean anything. It means 14,600 days is all it means. And it's like, you know, I know people that in 40 years that have lived the fucking brakes off it, that drive their body like a fucking rental car. And I know people that are, you know, Brian Johnson and basically, you know, cryogenically frozen every night, and they're operating great. I just think it negates the responsibility of your job as a coach. And that's what makes your job worth doing, right? If you want to run a template as a program and call it coaching, it's like, go do something else. Go work at the fucking post office or something. I don't know. And no, not to be disparaging to the people who always deliver my mail late, but like, those are probably people who were coaches that ran this type of scheme. And if you're on the receiving end of it, understand why that's an attractive tool for the coach. It's because the coach just wants to sell you a program at the service of coaching without actually coaching and providing the service. So there's a bright line there between coaching and programming, right? And I think if you're a good coach, you want the challenge of like kind of a diverse client base. You don't want the monotony of the same old thing. And now, not to say that your clients are the same old thing, but you said they're the same old thing because you market and you only. There was a point, and I talk about this in the last lecture of L1. We talk about coming up with a good intake form, intake process, and a good history taking. And one of the things that I tell people is, like, at a certain point, when I first made my first intake form, and I kind of just gone with it. I don't know. You probably sent me yours, and I copied it. Like, that's probably what it was. I was just like, all right, Jen, did you send me that? Okay, cool. And one of the first things I did as I began to coach more people is I actually took the date of birth off, because I'm very adamant that I do not ask questions that I don't care about the answers to. Mm-hmm. Right. So if the answer doesn't yield something meaningful, which meaning means in this context and every context, that which changes your course of action, then I'm not answering. And guess what? I'm not sending you I'll send you a birthday card, but I'm not sending any of my clients a fucking birthday card. So I don't need to know what your birthday is, because not sending you shit for your birthday. And I also don't care how old you are. That has no bearing on the decisions we're going to make. Right. So that's something that I think, like, because there's a disclaimer to the coach who practices this type of hyper specific marketing, and there's also a disclaimer to the client on the other end, or potential client on the other end, of what does this mean, or what does this mean for you? Like, you should be on the lookout. We're like Consumer Digest out here in the fitness industry, right? Where the people need to know, and I think it is something that is so prevalent. And we're obviously picking up men over 40 because we went on Instagram 30 seconds before we started the episode and we saw like 8 people. Are you a man over 40? Bah, bah, bah. But it's like any type of hyper specific marketing is going to tell me that this person probably isn't a good coach, but may rely their coaching services on a program that they call coaching. And I almost look at coaching like being a veterinarian. Right. There's this episode in Seinfeld where Kramer goes to a vet rather than going to a doctor because he doesn't trust doctors. And he's like, Jerry, of course I'm going to go to a vet. A vet's got to be able to heal like a chicken, a snake, a dog, a fish. So basically the idea that humans are too specific and he doesn't trust doctors. But I kind of look at it that way when it comes to coaches. It's like, I want to see someone who's able to get results across the board. Right. It's someone that can interpret data. It's someone that can interpret personality types. It's someone that can actually, coach both the technical and the tactical side. And so I think it's just such a red flag. And, I'm talking now to the coach. It's like, don't fly that red flag. Like, don't elect to put your head over the foxhole and be the person that is like just so obviously, using this trope to try and line their own pockets. And ultimately you don't do it because you're not going to enjoy it for a long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's funny because as you were kind of going on about all this today, I was noticing the major difference in you as you get closer to 40 is I think you've used the term not to disparage. Yeah, maybe it's
blood pressure. Here, hold on, let me get that real quick.
Yeah, but the thought to not disparage is something that wasn't there in the inception of this podcast. No. And I think it may have to do with the change in drugs over the years.
You know what it is? I'm too tired to care as much as other people are.
Yeah.
Right. Like the only thing I ultimately value is my freedom. And if a DM from a dumb person that wants to argue about something I said infringes on that, I don't care enough about the things I say on this show to really want to waste my fucking time with some absolute blowhard in the comment section. So I throw out it's like when people say, like, no offense, but when I say not to be disparaging, that's what that is. It means I don't give a fuck about your opinion if it doesn't agree with mine. I'm just too tired to argue past this point. So that may be, that could be the drugs. I think it's just watching how the social media, I think at a certain point you have to wave a white flag on social media and be like, hey, I don't want in. I'm opting out of like the whatever knife fight between the two YouTube creators. Like I don't have time. I probably could manage my schedule better. I just don't have the energy or the fucks to give. Right? There's the old you play. What is you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's why I wave that flag, because dude, I've been pulled into it. I've had the face and camera reactions from the slapdick Stitch video of some dickhead that if he was within 5 feet of me, wouldn't say shit. And I'm just like, it just infringes on my lifestyle of peace and freedom too much. So I will gladly, and that's a sign of experience. I will, not to be disparaging, says disparaging thing, but please don't message me about it.
That is
but
wisdom.
I think it's a bell curve though.
I
feel like
disparaging.
Well,
are we talking
at a certain point
you hit 40 and you're gonna start like saying the shit that like you can't say that anymore?
So no, I think so here, and you and I talk about this a lot. I don't think it's chronological. I think it's financial. I think it's a financial bell curve that like when I was really popping off on some crazy shit, I was banging mad gear, but I was broke as fuck. Now I'm like, we're doing good. We're doing okay. We're doing better. We're definitely doing better. You and I are living way better than we were living for like a long time. And But like if the money on the x-axis, if we have goals and dreams, and if that happens, stick around
Yo,
because this podcast
gonna
is going to
good.
get nuts. We are going to name names. It's going to
Yep.
be unredacted. Like I'll give out people's home addresses. I don't give a fuck. And like, it's the old like, if I win the lottery, I won't
Yep.
tell people, but there'll be signs. When RX Radio becomes the most unhinged, just shit talking podcast of all time, me and Jay just got it in the bag. So
Yeah.
so I would much rather like that's my criteria. It's financial, not chronological,
That's
or the
fair.
amount of
All
drugs
right.
I take. Because if once I get the bag, I'm probably gonna start cranking mad drugs again.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Mm.
All right,
It'll
you
make
heard
the
it here
podcast
first.
more interesting.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe and get all your friends to take prescript courses so that we can bring this to real life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nails. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.